So in our previous video, we talked about Colorado. Really blatant example. Well, in this video, we're going to talk about another state. We're going to talk about Wyoming. Wyoming has over 20 million acres of Forest Service and BLM lands. That right now, all of us can hunt, fish, we can camp, we can hike, we can do whatever. But Wyoming, their state land board, has a weird rule that says you cannot camp on state lands. So how does that affect you under this notion of state transfer? In other words, transferring these BLM and Forest Service lands to the state of Wyoming. Think about, okay, I got to drive from Rock Springs, or I got to drive from Rawlins or Casper or Sheridan every day to go hunt the bighorns or the Laramie Peaks. Or I got to drive from LaBarge to hunt the Wyoming range. And I got to hike in 6 hours every day. Hunt for about 2 minutes and turn around and hike 6 hours out. Tell me how you're going to go and hike the Wind River Range, one of the coolest places in all of the lower 48. How are you going to go do that wonderful hike through the Wind River Range if you can't camp there? Not being able to camp on a lot of these lands, in effect, makes it so you can't practically hunt them, you can't practically fish them. If you got to hike in and hike out every day and go camp somewhere on private land, or have to go camp or stay at a motel in a town, you're going to spend all your time going from where you're camping in town or staying at a motel in town, driving to the trailhead, hiking in, turning around and hiking out. This whole notion that you can't camp on state lands, that's fine if that's what Wyoming wants. Knock yourself out. But for those of us who currently camp on these federal lands in Wyoming, whether it's the BLM or the Forest Service, and whether we camp on those to hunt, to fish, to hike, just because we like to camp, because we want to go take pictures, we want to take our family somewhere, that doesn't mean we should have to give these federal lands to the state of Wyoming, where we can no longer effectively use them because of the state of Wyoming's rules. Quite honestly, I don't trust the state of Wyoming to manage these lands. The state of Wyoming started this process. They were granted 4.2 million acres at statehood. They've already sold 700,000 of those acres. Yeah, they've sold a sixth of their lands already. With oil and gas prices being down, with coal prices being down, do you think the state of Wyoming can afford to take over all these federal lands? They can't, and they know it. So what would they do? They'd sell them. Their state law, their constitution says if that state land board has assets that aren't making money, they got to sell it. And that's what they do. So now that we've talked about Wyoming, we're going to go in our next video and we're going to talk about a state very similar with a similar complication. It's the state of New Mexico.